Welcome to Dawn Dementia Care. I'm Judy Cornish, the founder of the Dementia and Alzheimer's Wellbeing Network, or DAWN, and the creator of the DAWN Method. Well, actually, I'm the person who wrote it down because the true creators of the DAWN Method were my friends and neighbors who were experiencing dementia in the small northern Idaho town of Moscow. Everything I've learned about caring for someone who's experiencing dementia came from what they taught me. So what is DAWN? I very carefully chose this name so the acronym would be a positive one that reflects the beauty and hope I found to be possible when working with dementia. It all began in 2010 when I moved to Moscow and met a new neighbor, a sweet and energetic woman who loved to laugh and share, who'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Her family would have moved her into care if I hadn't volunteered to help her with errands, and within weeks other families were calling me for help with their forgetful parents, and I was intrigued. I could sense a pattern in the way my new friends and clients reacted to me and to their circumstances. They didn't seem crazy to me at all. They seemed to be having natural emotional reactions to the experience of losing skills. And I soon saw a pattern to which skills they kept and which they lost, a pattern that made their choices and behaviors make sense. So what is dementia? If you go to a neurologist, you'll be told that it's the loss of memory and thinking skills. The most important thing to understand with diagnosis is that this loss of skills is progressive and ongoing, and that if it's dementia, it's irreversible. Or the neurologist may tell you that what your loved one is experiencing is not dementia, but mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. The difference between mild cognitive impairment and dementia is that the person's loss of skills has not yet progressed to the point that they can no longer take care of themselves. Dementia impacts our ability to perform what's referred to as the activities of daily living. These activities are eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, and dealing with incontinence. A diagnosis of MCI is changed to dementia when the person becomes unable to perform any two of those functions. It's also important to understand that dementia is a condition caused by various diseases or events, not a disease itself. Alzheimer's disease is one of the diseases that causes dementia, but dementia can also result from cardiovascular disease, or Parkinson's, or a traumatic brain injury, or a bad reaction to chemo, or even a bad reaction to anesthetic. Also, we need to understand that dementia is not normal. As we age, we become more forgetful, but we aren't necessarily developing dementia. Let's talk about how to recognize the difference. The older we get, the more our brains are filled with information and experiences and knowledge. In a sense, the aging brain is like a library in which the shelves have become so full that books and papers are stacked in piles on the floor, waiting to be properly sorted and shelved. So as we age, it gets harder to find the information or memory we're looking for. I'm getting older, and sometimes my friends need to remind me of things. They'll jog my memory with clues, saying something like, "Remember, Judy, you and I talked about that when we were out for lunch last week." And then, with prompting, the memory comes back to me. That's because although my brain is aging, I still have my memory skills. My ability to use recall and memory is intact. It would be different if I was experiencing dementia. If my friends were to try and jog my memory or prompt me with clues, nothing would happen. Dementia would be taking away my skill of remembering, of recall, not just my memories. So one way to know whether someone is experiencing dementia, rather than normal aging, is that you cannot jog their memory. You give them a clue, they pause, and they think they're checking their memory banks, but then they conclude that the event never happened because they've drawn a blank. So jogging someone's memory once they have dementia simply doesn't work. It just distresses or frustrates them. It's unfair to ask someone to do something they simply cannot do. Asking them to use skills they no longer have is both unkind and illogical. Here's the second thing to look for. When someone is experiencing dementia, they lose language and vocabulary. They become noticeably vague, using words like thing or them, they, that, much more often. They'll say over there or that time or those people instead of being specific. When we age, we forget words more often, and usually it's proper nouns and nouns that become harder to recall. But with dementia, people not only forget words, they lose them altogether. And sometimes, instead of forgetting a word, they confuse its meaning with something else. Once that happens, you won't be able to change their mind because they are also losing the reasoning skills that would help them understand why you're right and they're wrong. All we accomplish when we correct someone who's experiencing dementia is ruining both the mood and companionship. Dementia also takes away our attention skills. We become unable to choose what we wish to pay attention to, unable to direct, redirect, or maintain our attention. Your loved one will become very easily distracted. If there's a loud noise or something grabs their attention when you're out doing something together in the community, they won't be able to reorient quickly using attention and memory the way you do. As the dementia takes away their memory and attention skills, they will need more and more help reorienting themselves once distracted. So now you know how dementia differs from normal aging. Let's talk about what you can do to stay healthy yourself so that you can provide the best possible support for your loved one. First, we must recognize that when a loved one is diagnosed with dementia, there will be much to grieve for. Visiting neurologists and specialists is expensive, but long-term care is the greatest expense most families ever face. At present, the average cost nationwide is over $100,000 per year. For most of us, that means that other expenses will have to be put off or foregone. And when someone can no longer use good judgment or perceive that their skills are fading, a move may become necessary. Your dream home may become unsuitable. Your favorite activities and vacations will become difficult or inappropriate. As your loved one loses vocabulary and language skills, you'll need to change your conversational habits. This will affect the way everyone in the family interacts. You'll all need to learn how to enjoy activities in a new way as your loved one becomes more intuitive and focused on the present. And you may have planned to work for longer to pay off a mortgage or reach a retirement savings goal. That will likely now change. There are a number of excellent books available on how to go through the grieving process. Personally, I still turn to On Death and Dying, the book that Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross published back in 1969. Grieving is something we avoid to our own detriment and to that of our companions. We need to grieve in our own way, at our own pace, and expect to move back and forth between the stages. To stay healthy ourselves so we can support a loved one with dementia, we must give ourselves permission and space to grieve. Second, it's important to understand that caring for someone who's experiencing the progressive loss of cognitive skills is not something that can be done alone. It's not a matter of duty or marriage vows or how much you love them. Spending time with someone who's losing their ability to accurately perceive reality is harder than anything else you could do. You'll need to learn how to be a good companion in ways you've never used before. And to complicate things further, your loved one's loss of skills will be erratic. Some days will be better. Other times you'll see much functioning lost with a dramatic and random change that seems to occur overnight. So accept early on that you'll need help. Begin looking for good caregivers to form a team. First, consider family members or friends who might need extra income and would agree to be trained in dementia care. And then be sure to say yes when someone asks if they can help. The best approach is to give each volunteer a time or an activity that you could use help with. When you offer a schedule, people who want to help know how to help. It's also time to begin researching the resources available in your community. If you haven't already done so, visit an attorney to make sure you have all the end-of-life documentation in place. A good attorney will help you identify and access any available government benefits for your situation. Turn to your church and social organizations. Not all resources are needed immediately, but make sure you know what's available for when the time comes. Dementia care takes a team. Good dementia care includes enough support that family members and friends can continue their relationships on the basis of love rather than duty or guilt. Not all their time together is spent meeting the demands of caregiving. Finally, some good news. Your loved one is beginning a journey into the intuitive world, and it's a world of beauty and companionship that you can visit too. Your loved one now needs your companionship and the love and support of everyone in your family more than ever. Work often can't be avoided, but now it's time to find ways to enjoy the present. It's now time to do all those fun things you've been saving for later. Prioritize fun and companionship. Your loved one is losing rational thinking skills, but the most important set, our intuitive thinking skills, will not fade away. That means they will remain very aware of everything our senses bring to us, probably more aware. So search out whatever's beautiful to your loved one and enjoy it together. Art, music, nature, puppies, children, whatever it is, bring it into your loved one's presence. Music is especially helpful, so put together headphones and an MP3 player with your loved one's favorite songs. Begin to memorize their stories and favorite memories, for the time will come when they forget them. You then can take over as their memory keeper and storyteller when that time comes. It's important to give yourself time to play and enjoy life now so that you'll be able to maintain your own physical, mental, and emotional health. And yes, now is the time to develop your skills with technology if you're not comfortable with it. Ask younger people for help, or you can turn to Google to get the answer to anything online. Just as music will become more important for bringing up deep past memories, you might find that old TV shows are also just as effective. Look for DVDs that have complete seasons without commercials. And even if you don't have a smart TV, you can use something like a Roku stick or an Amazon Fire Stick to bring YouTube videos of nature from all over the world right into your living room. When the sounds and scenes of a much-loved childhood home are in the room, someone with dementia is less likely to feel the need to wander. And you can ask family members and friends near and far to send a brief hello using their smartphone. Seeing somebody's face and hearing their voice together helps preserve recognition and family ties longer. The foundation of your loved one's dementia care is you and everyone on their care team, but the health of the person who spends the most time with the person experiencing dementia is critical. So at Dawn, we've put together tools and techniques that equip families and caregivers to provide truly supportive dementia care. We believe that what are commonly referred to as dementia-related behaviors are really just understandable and predictable emotional responses that any one of us would have to losing the cognitive skills we've been using our whole lives. If you're looking for more help, I consult with families and teach classes nationwide using online meeting software. You can also sign up for our home care subscription so you have all the Dawn tools and techniques at your fingertips. Thank you for joining me. In our next video, we'll talk about how to get off on the right foot as your loved one begins to experience changes. And finally, remember that dementia is bad, but not all bad. We do not lose all our skills to dementia. There are infinitely more happy times and experiences to be shared together.